Welcome to 2025. We're the Good Book Club and we're doing Exodus chapter 28.
27.
27. Oh,
Almost there.
uneven numbers.
Uneven one.
Oh,
Yes.
my
This
bad.
is the altar, the courtyard, and the oil.
Mm.
In a nutshell, that's what the chapter is about.
Well, roll credits.
But wait, there's more. So in this, we talk about the altar. We'll have a picture on the screen. And it's basically this square thing that they made out of bronze. And there were horns and there were poles so they can lift it up. But what was it used for?
For altar things.
Altar things. What are altar things?
Sacrificing lambs and chops and
And
fries.
why would they sacrifice animals?
Because it was a very sinful world. It was before Jesus' time, so therefore they had to sacrifice their lambs in order to have their sins forgiven, to be washed by the blood of the lamb. And in the future, Jesus is the forever lamb, so therefore we don't have to sacrifice lambs anymore. That's why we don't see so much offerings anymore.
Exactly. So the blood symbolizes life. So when the blood covered their sin, it was a life covered their sin, which is atonement.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just said, with them, what would have been their future is now our present, where Jesus has died and his blood does cover our sin. They had to keep on bringing flawless lambs to cover their sins, but Jesus did it once and for all on a wooden cross. That was his sacrifice, basically the altar, in other words, if you think about it. And the courtyard was the place where the tabernacle was within. It was basically the, what do you call it? The measurements or the... Now I can't
The distance,
come across
width,
to the
and
word.
length.
The what?
The what?
What's the word? Basically, the border around the
The
tabernacle.
border.
There we go, the
Okay.
border. You will see a picture, you know exactly what we mean. That
Mm.
was the border of where it all had to be, but this also set apart a space of worship. And before recording, we told each other that you can actually use any space today to worship the Lord,
Mm.
as we did in John chapter 4. In that video, we talked about worshiping in spirit and truth, and it's
Yeah.
not bound to one place. Our church bought Bathroom Bazaar, so it's basically one big bathroom, if you think about it.
If you go
And that's our
literal.
church.
No, church is the people, not the place.
Yes, exactly. I completely agree. I actually did a sermon on that last year, that I asked them this opening question: if this building were to burn down, would the church still exist? And they said yes.
Unless if the people went with it.
Yes, but what if it happened overnight and there was no one else there, but it burned down?
It will still
Yeah.
be there.
And I was glad that they actually said yes, it would still exist. Then they knew, okay, it's more than just a building. But right now, as Christians, we are not bound by a certain place to worship God. We can worship him anywhere in spirit and in truth. And this courtyard was back then the place that the tabernacle was in, where they worshipped him as Israel. And it does go into detail of what kind of linen they used. There were bronze pillars. It was made of blue, purple, crimson, and fine linen, which were all royal colors, blue, red, and purple. And then there was the lamp. This is quite a short chapter, only 21 verses. But the lamp, what was the lamp all about?
The lamp was just to have light indoors of the tent.
But what did it symbolize?
I'm not quite sure, but the connection that I made is because they had to actually keep the fire going of the lamp, so that means they have to re-oil it just to keep the flame going. And somewhere in the Bible it says that you have the lamp for your path and you have the fire inside of you. And then I'm just like, well, in order to keep the fire going, you need to re-oil the fire, or the fire, in order to be able to see. And it's very much like a relationship, because God is the light inside of you. Therefore, you have to keep your relationship, work on the relationship to maintain that burning fire. So therefore, the connection is basically symbolizing having a relationship with God.
I love that metaphor, because if you don't put oil on the lamp, it will die out. If you passively just leave it and think it's going to keep on burning, it will die out.
The burning light.
And the oil was pure olive oil that they had to use. And it was, as you said, on the inside of the tent, but it was in the safety zone, as we call it, because there was the most holy place, which is where the ark was. Only the high priest could go in. And then the other part was also holy, but there the other priests could go as well as the high priest. And in that area is where the lamp was burning. And here it says in our notes that this oil also represents the Holy Spirit. And then the light, as you said, represents God or Jesus Christ. And that's how we are supposed to keep our lamps burning, by literally continuing our relationship with the Lord every single day. And this makes me think of, have you ever heard of the parable of the 10 virgins?
No.
That's in Matthew 25. Then they had to stay and wait for the groom, and they had to use oil to have their lamps burning. And long story short, the ones whose lamps were still burning, they were received by the groom, but the ones who didn't have oil, they were rejected. And that's a really harsh way of saying you have to be ready whenever the Lord comes back. Keep your light burning. And the part that you talked about, a lamp unto my feet, is Psalm 119, verse 112. Then it talks about your word is a lamp unto my feet.
Look at the Biblepedia. Yeah.
Biblepedia. It's funny because at Midstream they called me the walking Bible. Yeah. But that is basically chapter 27, which was the lampstand, altar, courtyard. And the next chapter is also very much do of this, but it goes more into depth about what the priests had to wear. But we will see you in the next episode.